All right, let's take you back to KZN, where we'll find our SABC News reporter, Ayanda Mhlongo, who's been monitoring the NFP's particular briefing. Ayanda, good afternoon. Talk us through or give us a summation of what was stated at that briefing.
A very good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our viewers. A rather short briefing by the NFP, the National Freedom Party, which, as you know, the party was able to secure one seat in the provincial legislature. And of course, it's been a number of days in Mfundo, as we know, with parties in talks and coalition talks, and we're waiting, as the public has been waiting to find out what direction they're going to take. The NFP now saying after marathon talks between political parties, they met with the MK party, specifically meeting with the leader or the president of the MK party, former President Jacob Zuma. They met with the leadership of the African National Congress. They also met with the leadership of the Inkatha Freedom Party, and they then have decided that they're going to work together in the government of national unity or the government of provincial unity here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So the NFP that was seen as the kingmaker in this election, having now put their support behind the government of national unity, meaning that they will work together with the IFP, the ANC and the Democratic Alliance in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
That most journalists have been asking that beyond taking a position either to support this co-governing structure over another, is whether there's been a conversation around positions. What has been the response to that particular questions around positions, if anything was promised or they put demands on the table to any of the political parties that will be part of this provincial government of provincial unity?
Yeah, well, certainly, that is a question that we posed to the president of the NFP, Ivan Barnes, in terms of what is being offered to the NFP in this deal. And he was saying that they haven't yet finalized the nitty-gritties of this deal, and saying that for the NFP, this isn't about positions. What they wanted to see was to see progress insofar as the government being constituted here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And so they're saying that in the next coming weeks, of course, they are then going to sit down with their partners to decide in terms of the positions. What he did tell us, and of course it was also confirmed earlier on by the ANC and the IFP, is that the parties have agreed that the IFP will likely take the position of a premier, the African National Congress will most likely take the position of speaker, and the Democratic Alliance will then take the position of deputy speaker. But insofar as the members of the executive cabinet, that is going to be discussed in the coming days in terms of how they are going to proceed with that. But of course, one thing that he did mention is that these talks did not only looked at the constitution in terms of the provincial government, but they did touch on local government as well. You'd remember that the NFP does have a working relationship in particular with the ANC, and this dates way back to 2011 when the party was first formed. After the local government election in 2011, there were hung municipalities, and the ANC and the NFP started working together. Following the 2021 local government elections as well, the NFP and the ANC have continued to work together. We know that in municipalities in the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal, that's Nongoma, Edumbe, there is a coalition partnership there, as well as here in the eThekwini municipality, where the NFP in fact holds the position of the deputy mayor here in this province. But again, in terms of local government, what the NFP has told us is that they are eyeing some municipalities. Didn't want to say which municipalities in Mfundo, but he said that there is still going to be ongoing talks, because they do want some of the municipalities in the province. So it's clear that the discussions that are taking place at the provincial level are no doubt now trickling down to the municipalities as well. So very interesting days ahead in the next couple of weeks, and of course, as we go beyond tomorrow, once the first sitting of the provincial legislature happens, there's still a lot that still needs to happen in terms of the talks between all these political parties. Mfundo?
Ayanda, indeed, it's quite interesting days, because on principle, most political parties did not want to say that if they're entering into an agreement perhaps at a provincial level, they would then somehow bargain at a local government level, because here we didn't have local government elections. And when listening to the IFP leader, Velenkosini Hlabisa, yesterday, it seemed as though he did want a distinction to be made, that if we're negotiating at a national level, it remains there. If we're negotiating at a provincial, it remains there. Most certainly, local government cannot now be brought in where certain political parties are being strong-armed to say, if you want us to support you at provincial, you've got to give us something at a local government level, because already local government is quite volatile as it stands.
Yes, certainly, and especially in a province like ourselves. And if you remember, after the 2021 local government elections, we had the highest number of hung municipalities here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Of course, it's important to note, as you know, that the National Freedom Party does not have representation, for example, in the National Assembly. They only have this one seat here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So I suppose using that seat to now bargain for a control in some of the local municipalities, I guess they're using this opportunity for them to be able then to regain control of some of the municipalities. You note that when the NFP first came in, they were able to take a number of municipalities away from the IFP, and of course with the number of challenges that the party has been dealing with, internal divisions and factions, which have led to a number of issues and sort of the declining support of the National Freedom Party. So for them, Fundo, I guess it would make sense that in this deal they also have to look at where they still do have some sort of control and support, and that being in the municipalities. And I guess, Mfundo, you know, while political parties are looking at the 2024 elections, they're also now going to be thinking about the 2026 elections, which are not too far away. And so part of this deal is going to say, what is in it for us? We need to get into the local municipalities as a means of sort of trying to say, to build up our support on the ground, so that we are better positioned when we contest the 2026 local government election. So I think it is going to be a conversation that some of the political parties are not yet want to talk about. They still want to deal with the the government of national unity or at a provincial level. But very soon, Mfundo, I can tell you that these parties are now going to be discussing how this relationship is going to work as you know, one moves forward, in particular in municipalities. For example, I mean, the EFF has a close working relationship with the ANC in the eThekwini municipality. The question now is what is going to happen with that, seeing that the ANC has now decided to work together with the Democratic Alliance and the IFP. So there's certainly so much, Mfundo, that I think over the past weeks, over the next weeks rather, we are going to be discussing as we monitor these talks and what the political parties are eventually going to be deciding.
Very interesting times. Thank you very much. That's Ayanda Mhlongo, KZN reporter there, just giving us a summation of that all-important briefing by the NFP. But key take-homes there is that the NFP is now joining the ANC as well as the Democratic Alliance, and we heard that Tamin Tuli of the IFP has got the endorsement. We heard yesterday the ANC seems to be endorsing him for Premier. Now the NFP is saying they endorse his candidacy, so possibly the IFP could be having a Premier very soon.